Hello, hello, hello. I'm under here somewhere. Let me take the title away. My name's Amber Greenlee, and I have captions now for different names because I think that's important. Um, but the caption I have for today is for my guest artist, which is Stephen Notley. This is Stephen Notley. He does the comic strip Bob the Angry Flower, which is at angryflower.com, which has been going, I want to say, since like 90s.
Yep.
Yeah, it's awesome, and I love how you play with panels all the time. And then, of course, I have my better half, Robin, also hosting today. And yeah, like I think we're in a good spot with the story. We also have Archimedes joining us on Cat. Yeah, so where we left off in the story, let me get up on the big screen. Hi, Magic Marmot. Hi, Kay. So where we left off in the story.
Hi, Kay. Hi, Magic Marmot.
Is they knocked out some spies, and then they dressed up in the spy outfits so that they could move around Meow's castle without incident. And so they're exploring the lair. They try and slink away, and Meow spots them. So they have a fight for 2 panels, so you know it's a big fight. And then they see a break glass for Taxi, and the tide turns, and Meow escapes. And so that's where we left off, is Meow flew the Taxi out of the car. I think he's the only one in the car. I don't know.
Hi, Dale.
Side. Hi, Dale. So he's in the passenger side. So I'm going to take first panel. So what happens after Meow escapes?
Well, we need to figure out where he's going. Like, what's his end game again?
What's his end game? Well,
yeah.
I mean,
like, is he trying to get back to the planet to his one true love? Has he given up? Has he now got a whole new mission?
We also have a comment.
He's lost his henchman.
Oh my God, Stephen Notley, he's so dreamy. Yes. Yeah, well, I don't know. Like, he's escaping. Is this part of his plan? Did he plan on his lair being invaded?
No. And I also think he's probably needs to find some henchmen because he's just gone and lost them all.
He just lost all his henchmen. Okay, so he doesn't have spies anymore? He doesn't have, like, the cat henchmen and, like, the robot henchmen that were drawn in?
They've all abandoned him.
They've all abandoned him. Oh my gosh! And to top
and plus, he ran away. I mean, come on, he ran away.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's a scaredy cat. What are you gonna do?
It's part chicken.
Let's see. Okay, there we go. Now it's working. Let's see. Robot Fez wearing henchman. Yes, Robot Fez wearing henchman. So okay, so you're saying that he seeks out new henchmen? That's his panel.
Yeah, because he's going to come back and try to attack our crew again, because our crew is constantly successful.
Okay, Meow seeks out new
Hi, Jeremy.
And then I think for panel 2, Stephen, we should have the henchman tryouts.
Okay.
Wow, that's a good idea.
Yeah, I think that you get to figure out who's trying out to be one of his new henchmen.
And when you say he, you mean Meow, this cat?
Meow, yes, this cat. Hi, Jeremy.
So I'll say straight up, I'm not particularly great at drawing cats, but we'll
you know, I actually have a screen right here with reference because I'm not good at drawing anything. And so, like, if I have to look up a cat, like, I'll look up a cat. I'm not unafraid or I'm not, like, you know, embarrassed to admit that I don't have any idea what a cat looks like, really.
Okay, so do we have, like, an actual caption we want to put here?
Yes, henchman tryouts.
Just henchmen?
Hey, it was a really good idea that they have to hand in resumes, so maybe that's the caption.
What the
potential henchmen hand in their resumes.
I just like henchman tryouts because it could be anything. It could be them waiting in line.
But you know what? You could have henchman tryouts as the banner in the background.
Oh, okay. We could do that, and then just you know, if he seeks out new henchmen, they have to apply, right? Let's
Yep.
see. Have Steven draw a crowd of 1 million henchmen with the city in the background and hundreds of zeppelins in the sky, says Dale.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
can.
ain't
You can.
happening. I'm so old, I often need to be clued
Let's
into
save
recent
this
characters.
idea for when Dale is a guest. See if Dale can draw 100 million henchmen.
Yeah,
And it's
so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Meow with a henchman needed newspaper, right?
want ad, a hench want ad.
Yeah, cattle call for hench people, says Kay. And then, no, says Dale, I can draw a cat, though. Yeah, so we'll do this, and then we'll say want ads.
Well, you can see my screen, can't you? You can already.
Oh, yeah. And then I'll take off our caption because our caption right now is taking up a lot of space. And so, yeah, I see your tryouts going on. Yeah, so needed henchman, yeah. So you just moved to LA, Steven?
Yep, that is correct.
And you're chasing your dreams of making it in Hollywood?
Yeah, it's sort of embarrassing when you put it like that, but that is the correctness of it. So,
hey, I used to live there, man. It's my old stomping ground. I get the glitz and glamour of it. The Journey song, "Don't Stop Believing," to me, that's LA. Yeah. So.
Jeremy would like you to know, congratulations, Steven.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, for what? I mean, I haven't done anything yet, but we'll see.
Hey, man, making a move like that is pretty brave in this climate. It's pretty brave. Yeah, I don't know. Where I live, the economy is awful. People are losing their jobs like crazy. It takes balls to move to LA to chase a dream.
Well, and I mean, it's not like you haven't been drawing comics for forever, and you know, you've been going to San Diego Comic-Con for so long. You have connections. You know, I'm sure you do.
In theory, I mean, we'll see. I've been struggling to come up with just another project to work on, so I feel a bit of a creative, I don't know, slump or gap or whatever at the moment. But I have been doing this long enough that I'm like, well, I'll come up with something eventually. I mean, that's how it works on cartoon drawing day. I'm just like, Like, I don't have an idea at the beginning of the day, but I'll have one at the end. So,
yeah. Let's see. I'm trying to remember what newspapers look like.
I don't remember what song it was, but I work at a butcher shop with a bunch of 15-year-olds, and the song that came on was something I'd listened to in junior high. Like, it was probably like More Than Words or something by Extreme, something dumb.
Yeah.
And so I was like between two of them, and I was like, this is the song I used to listen to when I was your age. And one of them was like, When Dinosaurs Roam the Earth. And I was like, oh my God. I am old, but holy shit, that's such a cliche line, kid.
Jeremy says, yeah, I was told not to move to LA yet, but it is a major risk. And Dale says Steven is in LA. Has he gone to Stewart NG Books and Torrents, the last bookstore Philip's original hat?
Stewart Ing is all art comic books. That'd be our awesome store to go to.
Mm-hmm.
Which? Sorry, what would be?
Stewart Ing.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten to Stewart Ing. I've heard people talk about him.
The Samuel French bookstore was also good. Yeah, but that's especially if you like plays and acting stuff. It had all that kind of stuff.
There's the one. I think that's the one that's just down the street on Hollywood Boulevard. So I've been there for a bit, though. After having just packed up a ton of books and so on, I'm like, even though I love books, but I'm almost exclusively buying and reading Kindle books on my phone now, just because, again, I love books, but they are heavy, they're bulky, they are just a gigantic pain in the ass, and
it's an albatross. I love them, but it's an albatross.
Yeah, we had a flood last year. Our neighbor's water heater upstairs exploded, and we had 16 hours of water flowing into our apartment. I lost a lot of books that day.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. So you got to go to Stuart NG's. Dale says go to Stuart NG's. Trust me. And Magic Marmot said
Ing,
hack
it's his
refresh.
name. It's his last name, Stuart Ing.
Oh,
Ing.
Ing. Oh, Ing. NGS. That's it. Ing.
Yeah, Stuart
Oh,
Ing.
okay. I did not know that.
I have some old sort of buddies from PopCap that are big Stuart Ing fans, but again, not really something I'm super familiar with. Like, so
Yeah.
I can't remember. It must have been at the San Diego Comic-Con that I went to that I saw it, or maybe they were at 8. But yeah, it's all like high-end comic art books. Like, it's, you know what I mean? It's like Bud Plant. It's like, you know,
Yeah.
people like Phil Hale doing paint coffee table books. Like, it's
Yeah.
I was blown away and was like wanted to spend tons of money when I saw their little booth or whatever.
Well, they also at the location they have one of those art cigarette machines that we've talked about in the past.
Oh, right,
on the
right.
show. Yeah, where you stick in $5, you get a piece of art. Ian, your cat wants in. Yeah, so let's see. Let's check in with him putting in one-ats with this, and then let's see. You need to change your shorts after visiting Stuart Ing's. I guess we need to change our shorts because it's just it's
Holy
just that
shit.
good. Yeah.
Holy shit is what it is. Say holy shit.
Let's see. Yeah, I got Meow here holding up the newspaper where he placed ads, and I don't know. That's what I'm
So
going.
how's the heat in Denver? We're having heat waves out here.
Oh, it's not bad. It's not bad. We didn't close up the house until probably like 5 o'clock or so. Most of the day the windows were open and stuff.
It's brutal out here. Brutal.
Yeah. What was it? A whole 13 degrees Celsius?
Oh, it was actually like 30, feeling like, I don't know. I came home and inside the house was 28 degrees, and I can barely handle 25.
Yeah, no, I was just joking. I was just joking. Yeah.
But I'm lucky, like, the butcher shop is always pretty cool, so I'm usually in a hoodie at the butcher shop, which I like.
Okay. Needed henchman, call Meow. And then I think what we'll do is let's add a
Meow
background.
needs whiskers, whoever's drawing Meow.
I will put whiskers on Meow. I will give him whiskers. He deserves whiskers.
Oh, like 4 cats lying on you? That sounds hot. I don't like it.
Yeah.
I mean, I survived China. That was like, the humidity in there was just insane. And I don't even know how I survived 3 years. They used to call my apartment the Arctic apartment because I always had my air conditioning on at full blast. And everyone was all like, but you're hydro. And I'm like, I don't care, man. I need this to survive.
Well, I mean, you're also living in a much warmer climate when you're used to a much cooler climate. When I moved to Canada, I did so in the winter from California. So we drove from like 90-degree heat into Canada right after a blizzard. And so, seasonal affective disorder, very real thing, affected me. I had no idea I was missing so much sunlight until I got it later on in my life, and then I was like, oh yeah, that's right, I need sunlight to survive like a plant.
So,
My mom.
What I'm finding is so it does sort of line up with my general experience, which is that if I have to pick between heat and cold, I will pick cold because you can always escape cold. Unless you're completely homeless, but if you're not, you could just go indoors. Whereas if it's too hot,
Yeah.
you go indoors, that doesn't help. Like,
Yeah.
Here's my extreme. If you're cold, you can run and warm up quite quickly. But if you're hot, you cannot peel off your skin.
Yeah, that is a good point. You cannot peel off your skin. So let me check in with Steven and see what you're doing. Ooh, I love it.
Nice.
Oh, I love it. I love the henchman tryouts. Okay. And then
That looks great.
So I'm on panel 3. So what happens after we start the tryouts? Do we go through the tryouts for a while? Does our group try out as henchmen? Do they respond to the ad?
Okay, well, we've got a bit of an audience. Let's see if anybody's got the suggestions, people.
Dale says, get pastrami sandwiches at the Hat. And then he says, you need to change your shorts after visiting Stuart Ings. San Jose is warm, not air fryer warm, but light brown toaster, like 4 cats laying on you. I have no AC. I have a freeze full of frozen water bottles that I sleep with like little baby snowmen. And Magic Marmot says, well, you can peel off your skin. It's just frowned upon in polite company.
I'm trying not to choke on my food, Magic Marmot. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, he's a pretty funny guy. Okay, so if Meow is seeking out new henchmen and there's henchman tryouts, our buddies would need good disguises to try out. Okay, I like that. I like the idea of them being disguised to try out.
Then they would have to know where Mao is, and I don't think they know where Mao is.
Well, if he's running a newspaper ad, then they just call the ad and just go, where do I show up, right?
I kind of like them to go on their own adventure for a little bit now.
Well, so we're not going to follow. We're not going to follow.
Yeah, we can continue to follow Mao. No, we can continue to have them follow Mao, but I just don't think our guys are there.
Yeah. 2 of them as a pantomime horse, for example, says Kay. It's a cattle call. You have to admit, that's pretty funny. Of them dressed as a horse to try and get in, like all 4 of them as the horse.
Your panel has to be them figuring out where to find Mao and how to get there then.
Okay, shouldn't Meow be in a super villain Airbnb?
I agree with Dale.
That he should be at a supervillain Airbnb?
Yeah, because you have to make a hasty exit. That's why I don't think our people know where he is.
All right, so okay, how about this? Our group gets the directions to the henchmen tryouts. And then I'm going to have one of them on the phone talking.
Okay, well, no, what about...
What?
Okay, so this super villain being Airbnb.
Well,
what if our crew is just tired and they like go to the nearest hotel Super 8 they can find and they stumble upon the henchman tryouts?
Okay, so our group gets tired and stumble upon the henchman tryouts.
I think first what you should have them do is go to bed at the hotel, and then when they wake up in the morning, then they're like, what the hell? And they see all these like bad guys, and they follow it to a certain room, a conference room, and that's when we do all of Kay's, them disguised as horses, them disguised in 4 of them in a trench coat, kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I can do that.
Because it's just too, I don't know, I think we gotta sustain some disbelief, I guess. It's just too quick for them to be like, oh, and now here they are at the henchman tryouts. Like, give it a moment to breathe.
Okay. We'll do that. Yeah, I think I'm going to do one of my multi-panel panels, though, to cover a lot of ground.
They go to bed, they see the sign, they go to bed, the Super 8 motel glow-in-the-dark sign. They all crash out, and then it shows them the next morning at, like, their continental breakfast or whatever, and they see the lineup, and they're like, what's this? Then they see the banner.
Villain is IAN? Yes. English teacher Ian says yes. Okay. Vacancy. Ian, you should let in your cat.
I tried to, didn't want to, so just leave him alone.
Okay, no worries.
All right, calm down.
I'm sorry, I just see him there. He looks like he wants in. What do I know? Okay, we'll do this. We'll have our group like tired. I'll give them little sweats falling off of them. That's the international sign for tired in comics, right?
Yeah, fatigue. Well, no, it's more anxiety.
I have 3
Fatigue
people.
is the big that line that comes under their eyes.
Yeah,
You gotta do this big line.
That doesn't say tired to me. That says distressed or worried. But you know.
What the little sweat lines?
Yeah, like if it's
tired to me is the bags under the eyes.
Yeah, tired to me is like eyes, you know, that are sort of like lined. They're sort of closed,
Yep.
like you know, like
yeah, like half open eyes.
Yeah.
That with like the bags under them. Okay, yeah.
slack mouth, you know, that kind of thing.
Oh gosh, what is it called again? Animata, the like little lines and stuff you put around cartoons to like imply movement. Henchmen are a sucker for waffles, as most of them are previous Waffle House employees, says Dale. And then Jeremy says you can have simple line around his Cyclops eye to show he's tired. The Magic Marmot
No,
says
the Cyclops is not part of our guys. The Cyclops is a henchman.
Yeah.
Hoping to get hired.
Yeah, the Cyclops is he's just a henchman right now. He might become a character later, we don't know. But I love the tie. I think that's a nice touch.
He dressed for the job he wanted.
Let's see, we'll do this, and then yeah, we'll have like I'll put cars in the parking lot. Let's see, let's check in on me for a little bit and see what I'm working on while he's working on henchmen. So I'm kind of drawing cars in the parking lot here. And then should I put like superhero or henchman tryout banner in the back in the first panel? Or yeah, probably in the second panel.
You could, but they're like too tired to see it.
Okay, yeah, let's see. And then we'll have them sleeping in bed in the motel. Let's see. There's a hench folk union. Fat Jesus as a henchman, says Magic Marmot. Yeah. I don't know. Like, I think Jesus is supposed to be a skinny guy, right?
I think you should have Kanye West try to be a henchman.
Oh no. Oh no. No, Kanye West should really be on medication. He has a bipolar disorder and he's been off his medication for quite a while. And so it's something I do not recommend. I recommend that if you have something like that, you should try and find something that works for you, because it worked for me and I think it would work for others. But that's just me. So no Kanye West. The Internet Archive has the lexicon of Comicana by Mort Walker for free, says Dale.
That's
cool. I love the Internet Archive.
Aficionado of all the terminology for the specifics of comics stuff, like what the little squirtles and all that.
Dale is a connoisseur of art supplies and understands them very well, and knows a lot about comics and a lot about Sergio Aragonés. And so, yeah, I guess we'll have them sleeping here. I'll check in on your panel again. Are you almost done with your panel?
Yeah, I think I'm ready to do another one.
Awesome. So you're going to be on panel 4. Hi, naked baby.
Okay, wait. So what is this panel here that I'm on?
So you were on the one you just drew was panel 2.
Okay, hang on. All right, hang on a second.
No worries. Here, I'll show you kind of what I'm doing here.
And so the next one you want is panel 4?
Yeah, you are going to be drawing panel 4 next. about time that Bluto becomes human again, too.
I like that idea.
You don't like that idea? You think you should
No, I
save
do.
him up?
I do.
Okay.
Sorry, you misheard me. I said I do. Also,
Yeah.
he would make a great fake henchman. You know, while
He
they're trying to sneak around, Bluto is like really scary, mean, and looking. They would fool them into thinking he's on their side.
Let's see. We'll have them looking out the window, I guess. Okay, next panel, panel 4. So I'm going to have them looking out the window, and they're going to see a banner that says Henchman Tryouts, from your panel. And Kay's idea was that they wear like a horse costume and go to the Henchman Tryouts. So that's going to be like the visual of your panel, but I'm trying to work on the caption.
Like, our heroes crash the tryouts in disguise.
I love it. That sounds like a perfect caption.
All right.
All right. Yeah, Dave West, Kanye's cousin that's not famous but drops names. And then No Sweat. And then how does Bluto become human again? A machine, a pill, a spray? I think he just can do it at will. Because he can become a puma at will. So why not a human?
Yeah, I agree. He does it at will.
Yeah. Ian, would you get me more soda? Thank you. Yeah. Let's do this. We'll have Otis rubbing his eyes. As he's looking out, and then I'll have the henchman tryout sign outside. Yeah. A lot of handwriting in the last few panels I've been drawing. Yeah. So let's do this. We got the dog, and then I will have Bluto over here in human form. All right. Awesome. Let's see. How does Bluto become human again? Let's see. Bluto has to poop himself inside out to become human again, says Dale. Magic says turning into a human requires a lot of energy, so he's weakened. I could see that. I could see that he's weakened because it takes a lot of energy to do the transformation. But I mean, we also have Otis transforming all the time too. And so, yeah, I think let's zoom in, and then let's actually take some time and draw some characters. This way it will give Steven some time to draw. Oh, is Bob going to try out to be a henchman?
Well, I didn't do that, so no, I don't think so. I think
okay.
It didn't occur to me, so yeah.
No, it's all right. I always like to sneak in characters, but that's just me.
That would be pretty funny.
No, I think it's
to
awesome.
Have him like in a background scene, not even doing anything. He's just there.
I mean, you used to do traditional art on Bristol, and now you work digitally, working on the strip. Was it a big transition?
It took a while to get used to drawing digitally. I mean, like, mostly just taking advantage of what the digital drawing sort of allows, right? Like, I mean, ever since I was maybe not a kid, but like back in the mid-90s, I'd be like, man, I wish, I'm looking forward to the day where I can have like magic paper, where I can sort of, blow it up and shrink it down and rotate the thing and, move pieces of the drawing around and all that sort of stuff. All of which this now does, right? Like, so it is. But plus the fact that, like, you could have like guides. So you can sort of set different like grid lines on your pages, so that allows me to be a little more formal about like the spacing between my panels and the space that I give the words to, like the dialogue and that kind of thing. Before I would use, I went through a long period where I had like an actual physical lettering guide, one of those little plastic dealies.
A names guide?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just sort of draw out the lettering guidelines, and then for a long time I just said, I don't need that. I was hand lettering anyway, but I would just sort of eyeball it. But now I'm sort of back more to, I think I read some blog or whatever. It's like, oh, well, you have to make sure that, like, you leave basically like some bit of formalism about how much space is advisable to leave between the text and the bubble. Which, I'm sort of, it basically, it means that like my text ends up eating up a lot more of the space of the cartoon. I mean, I've always been the kind of cartoonist like,
but it's readable. That's the important part. Is that it's like what I like about digital over traditional. But there's something about ink on paper that I just love. Don't get me wrong, I do love it. But what I like about it is that sometimes I have a tendency to draw bigger than the space. And when you work traditionally, then you have to go to a copy machine. You have to, shrink it down and, like trace it with light box and stuff to get it to the right thing, or redraw the drawing that you did a little smaller, which it generally doesn't turn out that well. But it digitally, I just shrink down the layer. I just go, oh, did I draw that head too big? Okay.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing I mean, this is Procreate, but I'm sure most other drawing programs are the same. But like, you could just lasso around like your little bit of sketch and resize it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like, so where like, I think this, like, I look at my older cartoons and go like, I mean, I was always very focused on readability. Like, it was always about getting the text into the, like, you would always lettering first and then all the art comes second.
Yeah.
Because at least that way it's like, okay, you know that your lettering is down and readable, and that's a lot more, the art can be sort of played with in terms of the size. It's a lot more stretchable and zoom inable and zoom outable, and the text, right? You can't really get away with just squishing the text in and or reducing it. It's pretty hard. Like it there's pretty hard limits on how much you can fiddle around with text in order to get it to fit into a space if you're working on a sheet of paper, right?
Yeah.
But I think I may be overdoing it a little bit, because now I'm like, well, I could probably get away with somewhat smaller. Because right now it's like, if the line of text, there's basically like the blog or whatever basically said you need to have like a line, an equal amount of space above and below, and to the sides. So basically, your one line of text is the equivalent of 3 lines of, to fully incorporate that piece of the, that graphic element of the text plus the text bubble.
Yeah. In chat, we've had some people talking. Archie looks very comfortable. That's way up there. Turning into a human requires a lot of energy. Does Bluto have to spin a cocoon? Bill says the mid-90s, the day of steam-powered pens and paper made of moose hair. And then we didn't have erasers back in the mid-90s. If you wanted to erase something, you used a kitten's ass. Magic Marmot says kitten's ass erasers are still preferable by purists. Aston Martin says tracing. Dale says they are self-cleaning. Illiterate Zombie says, yes, the number of kittens you have to kill to get an eraser has doubled over the last few years. Kay says reaches over for her own kitten's eraser. Cat does not appreciate. Aston Martin says, ouch. Dale says, you don't kill them. You can't hurt them if you kill them. And Jeremy says, oh gosh. Yeah, you don't kill them. You can't huff them if you kill them. So yeah. So we had a quite session going on while we were going on about digital. I don't know. Are you a cat person, Steven?
I like cats. I don't own any pets. But when I was a kid, we had a cat and a dog, and I'm fine with both of them. But yeah, I haven't owned a pet since I've got lots of friends who are devoted pet owners, cats and dogs. I guess I just prefer cats a little bit more because they're sort of, you can pick them up and hold them. I mean, in a way that, whereas like as you sort of start scaling down dogs, once dogs get into that realm where they're small enough to be picked up and carried around, they become evil.
Yes. Yes, the smaller the dog, the more evil it is, tends to be it. Yeah, and then Cat Eraser is in wait. I thought it was the cat urine you huffed. And then Team Cat, we have 8 dogs at the moment, says Magic Marmot. 8 dogs. Wow, a lot. Let's see. We're going to have Bluto sitting up in bed here. Here, I'm going to pick it on Steve. Steven.
Different cats. 8 dogs, 6 cats. I just got 1 dog and 1 cat. That's enough. The dog's not even mine.
We live in an apartment right now, so we don't have a dog at the moment. But when we get a house, we're gonna get a dog.
And how many cats do you have?
4. So, you know, I have a substantial amount of cats. I admit that. Yeah, for some reason, Bluto and Philo are both too big for this bed. And in this land.
Alright, well, for some reason, what is it? Literate Zombie says just like Crocodile Dundee, because it's all about the bull. But if it was Dundee, I would think it would be all about the knife. And then Aston Alexander Martin says, did you get an apartment from Jeff Goldblum?
No, I did not get an apartment from Jeff Goldblum. No, I just have cats.
My friends have a cat, and my dog got along with him when he was around him, says Jeremy. And then Aston Alexander Martin says he seems to know a thing or two about them, that Goldblum.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy. He just recreated his like sexy pose from Jurassic Park the other day, but he did it in like, you know, his current body and stuff. So it's, I mean, the guy has a sense of humor about himself. Yeah.
So has a serious question for Steven. Steven, now that you work digitally, do you think that the majority of your readers read Bob on their phone? Because Dale reads it on your posts and Facebook.
Well, that is a thing. Yeah, like sort of consciously and unconsciously. It started out unconsciously, I guess, and then it became, I sort of became more aware of it. But like, is that I am now kind of drawing, whether I like it or not, sort of to optimize for reading it on the phone, because even though, to my mind, the kind of the ultimate resting place, you know, not resting place, it makes it sound like it's dead, but like the ultimate target of the cartoon is to appear in one of the books, right?
Yeah.
But I just find that like I read my cartoons most often now by uploading it and then looking at it on my phone, right? Or showing it to people on my phone or whatever, right? So that does mean that like when I look back at some older cartoons that are much more, I mean, part of it is just I've gotten lazier, so I've sort of moved away from more highly detailed stuff into simpler stuff that reads better at a distance and at smaller. And so part of that, so the sort of optimizing for phone is just kind of a part of that process.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess the answer, I suppose, is what was the question? But the answer ultimately boils down to yes. Like I find that I do optimize or try to make sure that something is readable by phone. Plus, again, it's another just sort of secondary consequence of the move to digital. Is again, now that I've got these grid lines, you know, like so I spent a lot more time like writing out my like doing the lettering on a separate layer and sort of boxing it and then moving it around, right? Which I'm never able to do before on paper, right? Like, so I spent a ton of time like writing and rewriting and breaking the dialogue down into different lines of dialogue and then moving it around onto the page to make sure that everything's all sort of nice and set up before I start the art process, right? Like the actual drawing. But anyway, gonna go back to the whole business of like, and then again, like because I've got these guidelines, the words, the text tends to have to be bigger and take up more space, right? So I'm really, I mean, when you're cartooning, you already have to be like hyper focused on being as brief and concise as possible, but on when you're doing comics for somebody to read on their phone, that even then, you've already said, oh, I like 100 words. Can you do it in 25? How's 25? What about 8? Now you're down to like 3, like, so. But then, you're asking about comics I'm reading. I haven't actually gone to a comic store since I've gotten here, and that was like a couple of months ago. I'm not sure. Like, I think I did and I don't need a bunch of recommendations about comic stores in Los Angeles. I've done a bunch of Google searches.
No, Google's your friend. No, the only one I would have sent you to is gone now, and that was the Golden Apple. And like that one's been in movies and stuff. It's so famous. But again, they closed it a couple of years ago, so it's not something that I want to torture you with. And
like years and years ago, I did a cartoon condemning like Meltdown. I think was a comic, right? Or Meltdown, and I'd have to go digging through my site, but I feel bad because I did a strip basically condemning them for having. I bought like a copy of Gamera the Brave from them at Comic-Con, and then when I got home, I discovered there was no disc in the box.
Oh no!
And so then I just had to keep bugging them and like, dudes, like I need the thing, man. Like, give me the. And it just took forever. So eventually, I had some comic about Bob like flying around like the Monkey King from Chinese mythology, saying like, oh, faithless merchant, like, don't you know it is better to be virtuous, and smashes the comic shop with the brass rod that is sort of the Monkey King's classic weapon, and then I'm sure there's not a causal relationship, but then some number of years later, Meltdown Comics went away. So I'm not going to take too much responsibility for. I'm not going to take any direct responsibility for the disappearance of Meltdown, but I do feel a little bit bad.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure they didn't do it on purpose.
Well, I mean, yeah, there's been a couple of times when I've been recommended comic shops and I've gone in there, and I mean, my experience is probably different than your experience, but Robin might have had this experience where you walk in and you ask about something and they look you up and down and they're like, oh, you're a girl, right? And it's like,
you're someone's stupid girlfriend. We don't need to spend time on you.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, no, I actually, have a degree in this stuff and kind of know what I'm talking about. And that's why I specifically asked for this creator when I walked in here. It's like, yeah. So I've had that happen to me. And, find out later on that that comic shop closed down, and I'm good.
Yeah. I mean, I'm as aware as I can be that I've not been the target of that gender-based sort of gatekeeping and so on. I'm glad that more light is being shone on that kind of thing, and people are going like, don't be, like you sort of think you would say to a nerd, like, don't be an ass to women who are into comics. Like, dude, you want women to be in comics, like.
Yeah.
Girls, don't you? Like, don't you want girls around?
So we have
the other problem becomes that they don't know how to sell to girls, and I'm speaking from experiences that I used to manage a comic book store and co-own a comic book store. The thing is selling to girls, women, you have to actually listen to what they're saying, and a lot of guys don't. They're just like, oh, you need to read Watchmen, and you need to read Batman Year One, and oh, you'd really like this comic, and and they're not actually listening to what the women are interested in to actually recommend comics that would appeal to them, and then the girls and the women don't really then get into comics. But there's like so many comics out there that are just as good as any novel that a woman or a movie that a woman is or a child girl is reading. You know, you just have to listen to their interests, and it's so easy to recommend something.
I once walked into a comic shop. I don't even remember the name of it, in the middle of Ohio. Well, we were driving across country, and I saw a comic shop when we stopped at a gas station. I'm like, hey, let's go in. And, and I walk in and stuff, and, this guy had like a bunch of obscure kind of independent comics I'd never seen before. And he recommended this little quiet graphic novel called Last Exit Before Toll, about a guy who just like gives up his life and decides that he's just going to live in this town that he stops in when his car breaks down. And so it's this interesting little quiet story, and I got that recommendation from this like Nowheresville comic shop because that guy listened to what I liked, because I was like, oh yeah, I really like character stories, I like stuff that's character driven. Oh, here, you'll like this, and I feel like I don't know, like there's more to comics than Spider-Man.
Yeah,
well, I feel that's just like bad business, right? I mean, if you're a dumb store owner and you're too stupid to pay attention to your customers, then you're gonna lose business. Like it's not even that complicated, really. I mean, like obviously, I think a lot of folks, a lot of dudes own comic stores just because they were comic nerds, and then they're
exactly. That's my point exactly. There's no other. I can't think of any other industry where somebody who has no experience in that profession at all, but just really likes it, gets into it, and expects to succeed. Yeah. Like, you got to learn a little bit about business management. You got to learn a little bit about marketing. You got to know what you're talking about.
But you see that happen with restaurants all the time, too, where they think running a restaurant's the easiest thing in the world because they eat at restaurants all the time, right?
Oh, but I don't know anybody who thinks that.
It's very difficult to run a restaurant. I don't know. Like I've watched Gordon Ramsay, like Kitchen Nightmares and stuff like that. There are a lot of people that don't realize the work that goes into a restaurant. And so, it's
so much money to waste though if you don't.
Yeah.
It's a gamble.
Yeah. Let's see. We have a lot of talking going on. Let's see. Stephen, now that you work digitally, do you have think the majority of your readers now read Bob on their phones? We covered that. He didn't even growl or get defensive. He was just vibing and knew she was an old cat and just stayed by her bed. Dale says, Stephen, can we expect you at any LA cons, the Bakersfield Comic Con? And then Dale says, yay, lazy. And what comics are you reading, Stephen? Aston Martin says something about a wizard with a long beard, I bet. Dale says, nice horse. Dale also says, please add a unicorn horn to the costume. Magic Marmot says, inappropriate horse, bad horse's cousin, that name drops. Aston Martin says, I've been reading Monkey recently. Kay says, love that pantomime horse. And Dale says, yeah, Bob has a lot of obscure references. Jeremy says, oh dear. I have had that experience before the beard. People in comic shops can have bad attitudes. I can't believe that there are still dude bros who have that attitude with customers of different genders. Women should wear fake beards like the stoners in Life of Brian. They don't know how to talk to girls. And yeah, that kind of attitude alienates different audiences. I'll be back, says Dale. Magic Marmot is right. And how do I always walk into this discussion that never goes anywhere? Store owners versus store employee, likely minimum wage. How about this? Why are comics relegated to specialty shops? Why would you pigeonhole a medium to a select few individuals' domain and create a culture around it? And Dale says the problem is that the family-friendly, all-gender interest comic shops are rarely carry old undergrounds. And Magic Marmot says everything is easy if you don't know what you're doing. So we had a lot of talking going on while we were discussing stuff.
Well, yeah, I think that's excellent.
Yeah, so yeah, this is kind of what I've been doing on mine.
Awesome.
Yeah, I still have a little ways to go, so blah blah blah, says Dale.
And so as far as what comics I am currently reading, it's actually been a while since I've had like regular pickups. The last thing that I was reading on a super regular basis was Kaiju Max, which wrapped up maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I think. Outside of that, yeah, like, and then before that, I guess Lock and Key was something I was reading regularly, but it's been quite a while since I've been, had anything to do in the comics zone with the Marvel or the DC stuff. Though,
Yeah.
One of the first things I did when I got here was go and get a library card, so it can be kind of fun to just go and
Smart. Very smart.
Yeah, if you have a library card and since you like reading stuff digitally, download the Libby app. You can use your library card to access their database.
Though the comics are the one thing I kind of hate reading on my phone. Like, even though it sort of counteracts what I was just saying about, like, but I sort of acknowledge the fact that, well, generally speaking, the way that most people are going to see my cartoons is on the phone, and so that is, But at the same time, like, if I'm going to read like a comic book, I hate doing it on the phone, right? So
yeah.
But I'm not looking to add more and more heavy trade paperbacks to my collection if I can avoid it. But the nice thing about the library is you can go and just grab a bunch of random, trades and go like, all right, I'll just grab this like Spider-Man and this Wonder Woman or whatever and some Black Panther, just some crazy crap that I wouldn't necessarily want to buy. But but it's like, sure, I can borrow these and take them home and put them by the bathroom and bring them back in a month and swap in some new ones. But yeah, it's been a while since I've actually been really regularly reading any books. I mean, again, like most of my stuff is still in boxes here. I took the time to unpack most of my Garth Ennis's and my Alan Moore's and my Cerebus, and put those up in the bookcases. And for now, that's kind of where I'm at. I was reading Uber by Kieran Gillen, I think, who is the writer.
Gillian, Kieran Gillian.
Kieran, yeah, it's sort of, his name is super close to like the actress who plays Nebula in the Guardians of the Galaxy and the Avengers movies. Kieran, whatever. Anyway, the point is, I find that kind of fun. It's this weird kind of like, what if Nazi super scientists had discovered superheroes or super beings, in the dying months of the war, and suddenly the war sort of advanced into this new and even more horrific stage rather than ending, in 1945. It had moved on to this whole far more destructive stage in which various different kinds of super beings were being thrown at each other by the Axis and the Allies, but they're very much treated as weapons. Like they're sort of three sort of super high class German superhumans who are referred to as battleships, who are basically like military assets. They're essentially like Superman. They can't fly, but they're essentially indestructible, superpowers, like the equivalent of heat vision, and they can't be harmed by anything. And so there's no military counter to them, right? Yeah. But then the Allies managed to sneak out the information about how these things are created to the Allies. And so then we start following like how the Allies start developing their own battleships, as well as developing like different variations. So it's like you can do different amounts of the drug cocktails to emphasize like one kind of superpower versus another. And, so you get these sort of like, but again, they're always referred to in these sort of naval terms like cruisers and tank men and it's written in this sort of like the dialogue boxes or the sort of what would it be? The narration, I suppose, is kind of as if it was like a textbook discussing these events
Yeah.
from some remove, like as if this were a history textbook, right? So,
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, I'm still collecting the Dark Horse, like nice printed versions of Blade of the Immortal. And so I got like 1 through 6. I need 7 through 10. Let's see. We have some talking going on. Library card is how the man tracks you, says Dale. I just downloaded a Mike Mignola Hellboy BPRD collection. I want dark comic shops that smell like BO, old newsprint and weed, full of underground and old mads and starlogs. In Minneapolis, Dreamhaven carries it all. A wonderful place. I really like the Source in St. Paul. That was an awesome store in the Twin Cities. What I compare to comic shop Typo Bros only recommends Batman and nerdy superhero comics is Film Bros recommending their obscure French darling or Japanese perfect film that has never an American film that wasn't a blockbuster hit, but should have more attention than it does. American cinema is not The Godfather. Dale says, I want the Bob character as enamel pins. Magic Marmot says, Hollywood cinema has sucked for a very long time. Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, it sounded like her Nebula. There's your screen again. There we go.
Sorry, I didn't realize it had gone away, but yeah.
That's all right. Dale says, not true. Librarians have damn near gone to jail protecting patrons from the Patriot Act. To this day, we securely shred referrals and patron requests. Libraries are awesome. I just got my hoopla a while back. That's why I'm reading Monkey. I need to try and collect more comics again. Librarians tend to be passionate. And a lot of librarians I knew planned a play dumb if the feds came in, oopsie, erase those records. Yeah, okay, so I'm gonna pick up on panel 5, because I think I'm done with mine, and we'll review what I'm doing. So yeah, so they go into the superhero inn, and then the next morning they wake up and there's henchman tryouts outside, and so let's do this. Let's copy. Yeah, I feel like with comic shops, you know, when you go into one a lot and they get to know you, you know, then it's like they accept you. But when you walk into a shop for the first time, it seems like every shop's a little standoffish. I don't know, but the Mile High Comics here in Denver is pretty cool. Like, they welcome everybody. Dale says, apologies, you were right, and that was a bad joke on my part. Sorry. Kay says, folks really don't know what was going on after 9/11. A hell of a lot of federal overreach. Yeah, so, okay, let's get out of that. Close that down. We will move to the next panel. So, panel 4, I see they are running. Are you pretty much done?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so for panel 5, what happens when they run? Do they win the tryouts? What happens? Because we need for panel 5 and then for panel 6, because Stephen and I finished at the same time.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So what happens next after the tryouts? After they crash the tryouts, are they discovered? You know,
well,
like,
it would be really funny if suddenly they found themselves in Mao's employment.
Okay, wait. I have my caption. My caption is going to be training montage, and then
a boot camp.
Yeah, like boot camp montage. I guess we could do. I don't know. I'll just say training montage because, you know, we're talking about films and stuff. There's always like training montages in like action movies and stuff. And then Steve, if I'm doing a training montage, like, what happens after the training montage?
I'm just drawing here. I'm not doing any.
You're not doing the thinking.
You got the ideas, man. Well, again, you got all these people. The only one who came up with any good ideas was Kay.
Magic Marmot says not yet. There needs to be a competition and scrutiny. And
All right.
Yeah, so maybe they're
like the Robin Hood movie, like in the Disney Robin Hood cartoon movie.
Kay says they get their ID card. I love it. I think that's your caption. Is they get their ID card? Steven.
Success.
Hang on. Let me just prep the panel here.
No worries. Yeah, I love that. So yeah, they get their ID card after training montage. And we'll do a training montage. Let's see. They learn how to run the coffee maker. Well, it's very important, the coffee maker. But yeah, I gotta do like them hanging off of the monkey bar things over the mud, because you always see that in like boot camp movies.
Yeah. No, it's like a swinging rope in the bed.
Okay, so what did you want for the caption on this?
So your caption is they get their ID card. Yeah, this is why doing the captions first is really helpful, because it's like, oh yeah, that's what I was drawing, right? Let's see. Okay, so we're gonna have I guess one of them up here. With his feet. Well, wait a second. I guess they would be doing everything as the horse, right?
That's what I was planning to draw, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So if they're doing everything as the horse, then okay, I gotta figure out how to do this. Because I gave him the monkey bars. How is the horse gonna do it?
Comedy.
Okay, yeah, this is the joy of trying to draw it. Let's see.
Magic Marmot says, I'd love to see them getting to the finals and a big competition with serious scrutiny for Meow, like he suspects something is just a little off, but they end up winning anyway.
So like Robin. Okay, yeah, we can do that. Let's see. And then let's do
until the nose slips off their face and all is revealed.
Yeah. That is Ian's favorite Disney movie, is Robin Hood.
It's one of the best, for sure. It's one of my favorites, but, obviously my name's Robin.
Yeah.
But yeah, that era was pretty awesome. Like Earl's backgrounds in Sleeping Beauty, Bill Pete's jazz drawings in 101 Dalmatians, the music in the Jungle Book, like that era, like in Robin Hood as well. Like the music in Robin Hood is awesome too. Just really good. Probably my favorite era in Disney movies, cartoons.
Well, animation-wise, Milk was very talented at doing kind of a head waggle thing, and in all of those movies, he did the head waggle. It's hard to explain, but he has the character talking and shaking their head at the same time, as like when they're acting. The animated character when they're doing the performance. And oh no, I don't think about that. Like they kind of waggle their head in Alice in Wonderland and 101 Dalmatians and like the Jungle Book. These are all examples of characters that he animated that head waggle.
Yeah, I think, Kay, we talked about it on an episode that you were on, because they did a documentary about the Sherman Brothers on Disney, on the Disney Plus channel. That was really good. Yeah. That's some really great music. And too, it's the guy that sings some of those songs played the uncle in Mary Poppins, the one who sings Let's Go Fly a Kite. I Love to Laugh. That actor, he's really been in a lot of Disney. He does a lot of Disney voices. So when you watch those kind of movies as a kid, like they really like stick to you and they kind of become part of your life, So then when you hear these voices, they start to feel like family.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's true of any voice actor. Like Rob Paulson, he was a voice of my childhood. You know, he did so many voices. He did, gosh, Pinky and Pinky and the Brain. He was Yakko.
Okay, yeah.
Maniacs.
He's coming to Toronto. He's coming to Toronto.
Well,
he's doing a show.
I had the opportunity to work with him at O Entertainment. He's just a really nice guy and stuff. But like, I can hear his voice, and I know the variety of voices that he can do, and go, "Oh, that's Rob Paulson." You know, like there's a character that you kill in one of the God of War games. You have to sacrifice him. You know, and he's in a cage, and he's like a legionnaire in a cage, and you're pushing him, and he's going, "No, don't do it!" The whole time that you're pushing him into the fire. And it's Rob Paulson, the dude in the cage. So, yeah, it's kind of interesting. I don't know. I feel like they should be punching a bear in their in the boxing ring. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see what Steve's doing. He's
Not a
probably
bear.
doing something better. Let's see. I'd love to see them getting in the finals. Let's see. I will be jumping back and forth. Right on Robin says, K. Sherman Brothers wrote the music for Robin Hood. I need to see that. Ed win. Ed was quite old and ill when hanging from a harness in Mary Poppins. Still killed the role. I vaguely remember the God of War thing. And then Frank Welker for me. Yeah, Frank Welker was an amazing voice actor. So
Kangaroo Boxer sounds pretty good.
Okay, we'll do Kangaroo Boxer then. Yeah, we'll do Kangaroo Boxer. And so, yeah, Frank Welker, he did all the roaring in The Lion King. He was like the guy if you wanted an animal sound or like a werewolf or something kind of growly. He also did the character of Bronx in Gargoyles. You know, the like dog like gargoyle. Yeah, and so I think they should also have flower arranging. You know, as like
as another class in the montage.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
That's another class of the montage, exactly.
It teaches them discipline and to have an eye for beauty and detail.
The Japanese generals during World War II had to know how to do flower arranging. Yeah, so I think that's kind of interesting. Let's see, is it a unicorn? Did you add a horn to it, or is he still a horse?
I did add a horn, I think, at the last minute. Hang on.
Okay, I just want to be, as consistent as we can be.
You see?
Yeah, I see it. Okay, he's got spots and a striped head. Okay.
Striped head and spots on the body, yeah.
Okay, awesome. All right. I got it now. Let's see. He also did Fred from Scooby-Doo. Yes, he did. That was him like doing his real voice. D. Bradley Baker sort of took up the animal mantle from Welker. Pointy horse. Let's see. Yeah, now I got some I got to turn this into some action here. Because I got a whole montage scene to draw. Why did I do this to myself? Yeah, that's the thing about being an artist and you're your own writer and stuff is like you want to draw the crowd scene, but you don't want to draw the crowd scene.
Yeah, Dave Sim, who drew Cerebus back in the day. So he had his early collections were called Swords of Cerebus, and they would collect, I think, 4 issues at a time.
Yeah.
And, they were really formative for me because he had these little sections where he would sort of talk about this or that in relation to the comics that were in the book. And so there's one of them in which he has this long, he sort of explains this long dialogue between like the writer and the artist. Like, and how like the obviously they sort of have competing interests, right? Like the writer is very interested in all kinds of fancy explosive stuff, and the artist is like, I don't want to draw anything. Let me just put me in a dark room with one light source and or
Yeah.
you know, like maybe it could be just raining and all the rain will just be like a bunch of vertical lines with a ruler,
Yeah.
and that's all I have to do, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And though he sort of refers to it in the context of like an early issue where he had sort of had this debate with himself, and then had kind of felt reasonably satisfied with it, but then when the reviews for that issue came out, somebody said like, it's okay, you know, it sort of went sideways rather than forwards.
Yeah.
And it made him feel a bit, you know, disappointed
Called out.
and then he kind of felt like, well, no, I gotta try a little bit harder. So I'm very all the levels of that conversation that he's having with himself in this ring true to me. The desire to avoid work, the you know, to sort of make these trade-offs to getting away with stuff, but also kind of looking back at it and going like, oh yeah, I did sort of really cut a bunch of corners there, and now that I'm on the other side of it and people are observing that it is not as good, or you know, it's clearly not as much work was put into it as could have been, and now you're having to accept the approbation. I mean, I'm not in that position because like not enough people even read my comics and I don't get any feedback on them, so it's just like throwing each one of them into a void. But I enjoy it.
Well, I like your comics.
Well, thanks.
I will occasionally, you know, write in like I really like what you hear and stuff like that. But I feel like I'm in the same boat where I've been throwing my comics into the void for 20 years, and you know, eventually, hopefully, the void will call back, right, and be like, oh yeah, hey, check this out. You know, but no.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, like, I sort of go like, I've been doing this long enough that I know what my motivations are. Like, this is my therapy. This is you know, why I exist. This is what I'm here on Earth to do, and all this sort of thing. And so it's like good, you know, like but at the same time, it's like it wouldn't be such a bad thing to get a little external validation. I would accept it. I would allow it. But, you know, I don't require the external validation in order to do the work, but I'm at the point in my career where I am willing to state that I would take it if it were offered.
Yeah.
I mean, it was surprisingly, I was touched last year when I got the Inkpot Award at San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah.
I mean, which was sort of a weird thing. It's such a strange award because I was like, well, you just get one if you're a guest, right? Like everybody who's a guest gets one, don't they? And then I found, to my kind of annoyed surprise, that like that wasn't in fact the case, because my friend Lonnie Millsap, who had been a guest before, he hadn't gotten an Inkpot. I was like, well, what the hell, you guys?
Yeah.
Give him an Inkpot. He deserves it. Certainly, I mean, if your policy is that like the Inkpot is just something that comes along with being a guest, but I think it's Jackie Estrada, who sort of.
Yeah, I know Jackie.
She's the woman that used to takes photos of everything, and she was married to Bat and Lash.
Yeah, and so I guess it's like, so I was sort of like a justice for Lonnie, you know, kind of raging my fists at last year's Comic-Con, but I guess it's like, nope, like I was mistaken. It's not an automatic thing for being a special guest.
You get nominated. Yeah, they're you know, they actually have like people fill out cards and stuff for that.
Well, because like for years and years and years, I was just sort of, because I would go and do Comic-Con next to my buddy Keith Knight, and he eventually got asked to be. And I just it never sort of clicked that it's like, well, I've been doing this forever. Maybe I should just ask, like, hey, you know, like, would you guys ever consider having me as a special guest?
Yeah.
And you know, the year after I actually asked about it, they did it.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like, and now I don't have any illusions about what, you know, basically it's just sort of like a 20 years long service award.
Yeah.
You know, and
but
so
still, it's from your peers, and that's nice. You know, that like the other artists and creatives, and I mean, you have been doing Comic-Con forever, and you, like Clydine, for example, this past week just lost her foot. I don't know if Comic-Con's going to be the same without her. And I Clydie Nee, she's one who sets up a lot of the booths and stuff for people.
Oh, okay.
She's been a part of Comic-Con for 30 years. And it's like, because she's been part of Comic-Con for 30 years, I've seen this outpouring from the comic book community to help her out. She just lost her foot to diabetes this week. And so they had to amputate it, and she's going to get a prosthetic. And so she had a GoFundMe that was filled by a lot of people, because again, she's been doing Comic-Con for like 30 years. So I kind of went off topic there, but what I was going to say was it's just when you're part of that community for as long as that, the community remembers it.
I guess. I mean, it's certainly. I mean, I'm not going to be mad at comics for being kind of a clubby sort of thing. I mean,
it's definitely cliquey. Yeah. I
mean, I've been a cartoonist for so long. When I was younger, I definitely was like, like I'm a cartoonist. It's part of the pantheon. It's like being in the Justice League, maybe the sort of the backbench of the Justice League, but.
Yeah.
No, I'm for real. I'm an actual cartoonist. It's kind of a ridiculous thing to have pride in, but nonetheless, we take what we can get. But now I'm trying to figure out where I was going. So yeah, I mean, like it's kind of a cliquey world, and so I'm not super mad at evidence of that coming out. Like, well, yeah, like after X number of years, they just made you a special guest not because of any sort of appreciation of the work itself. It's just like, well, good job in having a booth here for 20 years. Which is like, but all that said, when they actually showed up in the middle of my or near the end of my spotlight, I was touched. I was like, oh geez, I'm actually rather moved by this award. So, it's a funny thing, the creative life. I think you really do have to, earlier rather than later, sort of get your head straight about what it is you're doing it for and why and what you expect out of it. And it can be very rewarding in that sense, but like everything else in life, it changes as it gets older. Things you don't think about when you're younger become important when you're older, and vice versa.
Are you done with your panel?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. I just finished with mine too. So I am going to pick up, let's see. I believe that was panel 6. Is that your third one that you drew?
This is so I think I'm done with the do another
that's panel 6. I am going to work on panel 7, and then your next one is panel 8, but we only have 10 minutes.
Yeah, I'm not going to do another one.
Okay. I'll do the last panel, and we can just chat.
I wanted to ask a small favor. Do you mind if I cut out 10 minutes early?
Yeah, that's fine. Are you tired?
Yeah, I really want to go to sleep. It's been a very long day.
No, I understand. You are, you're always, I always appreciate you being here.
I'm glad to be here. I love talking to you guys.
All right. Well, I'll see you next week then.
Yes, you will.
Yeah.
You will.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. And so, Meow's Evil Gang level 7 access. Ooh, they got level 7 access.
Nice.
Yes, I don't know why they have level
Good
7
night,
access, but that's awesome.
All right, good night, everybody. I'm Balin.
Yeah. All right,
I'll see you next week.
Bye.
Good night.
I mean, I wasn't privy to the business of whatever the panel was showing them wowing Meow at the tryouts, but clearly they were.
Let me show you the panel then of what they did. So this was the training montage panel, where I just did a variety of things, like their flower arranging, their on a rope. They're boxing I think it's supposed to be a kangaroo. Kind of looks like a dragon or something. And now they have their ID. So I think the next thing, let's see. I love the boxing helmets. Thank you, Kay. I appreciate it. It's easy to feel like an award. Superlative, says Aston Martin. When comics become business, the motivation becomes cash flow and cost efficiency and not creativity. Let's see. There's nothing ridiculous about being a cartoonist, says Aston Martin. Love hearing from you, says Magic Marmot. You have a good one. Aston Martin said goodbye to Robin. I gotta go. Great to see you, Mr. Notley. Bye, Robin. And Amber, says Dale. And Jeremy says, I have to clock out too. I just got a call and I have to be up early. Bye, Robin, and good night, Robin. So that's catching up on everybody. I think what happens next, now that they have their ID, is like orientation, right?
I don't know.
I'm just gonna say orientation. And then I'm gonna draw them going through orientation. At least for the next 10 minutes. So yeah, like with your decision of I'm gonna move out to LA. When you packed up and you did it and you went across and stuff, did you have a place to land, or did you said you stayed at that hotel for a while and you got the 1 day a week job?
Well, yeah. So I mean, I sort of did it in phases. I came out like last fall to a different neighborhood just to sort of feel out the city, basically, and go like, okay, well, I've got like these 6 friends out here. None of them know each other. They all like, I have my maps and Google with sort of pins on where everybody lives, and went out and hung around for about a week, actually 2 weeks last fall, just to sort of get a feel for like, well, what's this like? What's this neighborhood like? Like, what's it like trying to sort of catch up with people and talk to them? And I figured 2 weeks was enough time to not have to like be unduly pressury about it. I have a lot of assumptions about how things work, but and sometimes they're wrong and sometimes they're right. But this one, at least, I feel works for me, where, you know, I don't like being sort of pressured into doing something where somebody goes like, oh, hey, you know, like I'm in town and you know, you got to come out and meet me. Or something, and you only have like, and it's sort of make or break right now. I hoped if I had like 2 weeks, I could say, hey, I'm in town for a couple of weeks. You know, I'd love to catch up. Give these friends of mine the opportunity, the chance to go. Like, I mean, you know, they don't have to get back to me at all if they don't want to, but at least if they've got a couple of weeks, it's like, oh yeah, okay, like, sure, yeah, let's go get some coffee or have lunch or whatever. So I did that last fall, and then realized I didn't actually want to live in the Echo Park area. That's where I was then. And then I just spent a number of months kind of on apartments.com and rents.com and all these like Zillow and just building out like just endless pages of notes about neighborhoods and places and rent ranges, and I would go on to Google and I would just sort of like Google Street View walk around neighborhoods to sort of go like, is this the kind of place I want to live, or this or that, but it just sort of basically came back to, well, I mean, the times I've come to Los Angeles, I've usually ended up here in this Hollywood area for whatever reason, not because I have any illusions that being in, you know, actual Hollywood, like around the corner from the Chinese theater, is actually being in Hollywood in the functional sense, but you know,
it's still cool. I mean, you know, Sunset Boulevard has the Comedy Store and the Improv on it. You know, and it's like, that was my stomping ground, because I used to perform at the Comedy Store all the time, and like a couple of bar and grills and a couple of different bars and stuff out there when I did stand up. And so it's I know what you mean about like, you feel the energy in the air when you're there, you know, and it's very exciting. And, you know, like I remember having parties in the Hollywood Hills, drinking, you know, mimosas and going like, yeah, this is awesome.
Well, I haven't gotten to that
you know,
yet, but I mean, I was lucky enough to hang out with like my friend Lonnie and a bunch of so he and a bunch of other New Yorker cartoonists tend to get together every month and have like dinner at the smokehouse or something. So I got to hang out with them. So that includes like I'm blanking on their names. I'd have to go back and pull up my notes, but like Rob Armstrong is one of them. There's like a daily syndicated cartoonist and a guy named Ivan, and again, I'm blanking on his name, but a couple other folks that like have these crazy resumes that go back to like writing for MASH, like that kind of sort of stuff, right?
Yeah, I know Steve Troop is also in LA, and Gary Clare, who he works in. He used to work for a company called Threshold. I don't know if he's still there. But Threshold, like one of their claims to fame was the Mortal Kombat movie. And so he was one of the graphic artists for them. And, I got a lot of like art friends out in LA. I could point you in the direction of, and be like, yeah, this is cool. This
Ken
guy's...
Levine, that's one.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, and plus it's just like when you sort of go like, well, this person or that one's here. It's like, well, I mean, when I came down here in the beginning of, I guess it was, my plan was to move in April. I was here for a week, and I think in the middle of March, and it was like, okay, I'm gonna, I've already set up a bunch of interviews with hotels or apartments in this neighborhood, so that and I'll get here on Friday, and I'll be leaving basically the following Friday or whatever, and by then I hope I have signed a lease. And so, I had to do all these different appointments and so on, but eventually signed the lease. And so that's what I came to, so I made sure, obviously, that, that I had somewhere to arrive when I actually packed up and I didn't move myself. I paid movers to do it. And that was a whole shit show, but but as far as like anything official, because people go like, well, what did you come here for? And it's like, I don't know, just to be here. Because it's sort of like part of it is things like, well, there's just lots of stuff that I know is here, even if I'm not necessarily attached to it. Like I think I'm kind of. Oh, did I lose the thing again? No.
It fell asleep.
All right, yeah.
That's okay. I'm on the last panel anyway.
I've actually emailed you the PSD. Can you want to take a look and see if you got it?
Oh yeah, I will right after the show. Because I want to finish drawing this while we still have a minute.
Okay. But they're just like folks. So like I try to make sure that I understand what is and isn't real as far as things like parasocial relationships, where it's like, I think I know you, but I don't. You've never met me. But it's sort of like, people, but like, there's a bunch of YouTubers that I'm like, oh yeah, they're in LA. Like, Jenny Nicholson's in LA, and the Game Grumps are in LA, and the Corridor crew are in LA, and so it's sort of like, it's kind of a weird thing to go like, oh, I mean, I typed Corridor crew into Google Maps, and it's like, oh, yep, that's their office.
That's their office.
I could bust down there and knock on the door and say, hey, you guys, like, my name's Steve Notley. I'm a cartoonist. I'm a big fan. I don't know. Like, here's a couple of my books. I mean, whether or not I want to do that is another thing, but just the potential for that to be a possibility. Or like, I mean, I've got a friend here. So I've got like 1 degree of separate, like he's done work for the Game Grumps guys, or at least one of them. And so that's sort of the whole idea, is just to make friends and build connections and see what happens, I guess.
Have you, I'll talk to you a little bit more, about some job boards and stuff when we're off air. And there's some job boards I want to point you to for art jobs. And so, I say, let's see, 8:31. I'd say we're done. I'm just going to have
I'll get
them watching like the orientation video. And so, Survey Meow and You is the title of the orientation video.
Right.
I don't know. I thought that was funny.
No, that's good.
Let's see, and we'll
That's
do.
That's nicely composed panel there.
Yeah, occasionally I can draw. I don't know, but yeah, I'm trying to show like the fact that they're still in the suit.
Frankly, in some ways, it could just go like, actually, rather than just having like 6 totally random, unconnected characters, now we've just turned them all into one goofy character who can sort of move in unison.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna enter. Let's see. Love the tongue hanging out. Thank you very much. Yes, I did do stand up. I will chat about my foundations later. I wish I had the money to visit LA. I think one of my peers works with the Game Grumps too. Good news, I finished one of my pages for my pitch. Good. I'm trying to submit during the stream. I don't know if it'll get picked up. We'll see. Good for you. Okay, so I want to thank my guests, Steve Notley, being Reflower, and let me get that caption up here again. So if you want to check out his comic, buy some books, support a living artist. Steve is right here, and he would certainly appreciate it. So I'm gonna say goodnight to that, and then I'll close that down. And thank you everybody for joining me for Philo, and I'll see you guys in the future. Have a great one.